Okay guys, thank you for tuning in. So I'm sitting here reading the Key of Solomon, and I just started reading it, and I just want to share what I'm seeing. How can we make sense of this kind of stuff to our Bibles and all that kind of stuff? So here we are in the first chapter. It says, the first paragraph, it says, when you wish to make any experiment or operation, you must first prepare beforehand, or the requisites which you will find described in the following chapters. Basically, observing the days, the hours, and the other effects of the constellations which may be found in this chapter. Okay, so through this perfectly makes sense why we see in the Testament of Adam, for example, how the Testament of Adam starts with the days and the hours and their numberings and orders and their spiritual alignments. Very interesting. So the whole chapter goes on through, what Saturn does, what this does, and all this kind of stuff. What I found interesting, basically why I'm making this quick video, is the last paragraph I just read here. It says, during an eclipse, when the moon is over the sun, it makes all this stuff void. All the powers of creation, all witchcrafts, or powers meant for good, or whatever. It makes everything void when there is a solar eclipse. So it perfectly makes sense. After Christ was crucified, there was a solar eclipse. And when the Lord comes from the clouds and reveals himself, the sun will go dark, the moon, everything will go out of alignment. It's very interesting. So, we see this stuff. All right, this is not evil witchcraft per se. It could be used for evil witchcraft. This is what I'm understanding. And, like the breastplate of Aaron, all this kind of stuff. We see this kind of stuff in our Old Testament. We see this kind of stuff all over the extra biblical text, but we don't see it in the New Testament. And a question I've always wondered, how does it make sense if Christ was from the beginning, and after he was crucified, all power and authority was given to him? How does that make sense? Because he was from the beginning, and now I think I'm understanding is because perhaps all that power is given to us through the blood of Jesus. So, I don't have the answer why God is having me read this book or learn this. Is it just for my understanding of wisdom of what I'm reading in these Old Testament texts that everyone's saying, witchcraft, and I'm like, well, I know these books are true. It's not witchcraft. I don't know what's going on here. Now I think we do know what's going on. And we see it in our Torah. We see it in our Old Testament. The breastplate of Aaron, for example. I think the Ten Commandments were written on sapphire. That kind of stuff. I don't know. So very interesting. But it's just a thought. I don't really have all the answers. Is it relevant for us to know this stuff for the last days? Now, I know King Solomon, it's a fact, guys. Powers and principalities, even demons, helped build the first temple. I'm sorry for the noise. It's so distracting. It's really annoying. Even demons helped build the first temple. So, that's offensive to us who are, but discerning, our Bibles tell us those who oppress us will be under our subjection in the kingdom. So it prophetically makes sense as a type and shadow that God would have King Solomon, who is a type and shadow of Christ in the millennial reign, to have demons and spirits subordinate to him to do his building and all that kind of stuff. And, he didn't have, because Christ didn't come yet, so he used a ring to do that, which represents a wedding ring. It all does make sense. But to the undiscerned, we just want to say, well, that's witchcraft and all. But no, it's real. So, you know, I just don't know why God is having me read this stuff. Does this stuff, you know, are we going to be doing this kind of stuff? Are we going to be using the power, you know, the power of the four, I guess the powers of creation, for use it for good to do God's will? I'm asking the Lord, well, why do I need to know this when we could just pray to you for things? We don't need to do this stuff. And I feel resistance in his spirit, Like, you know, I'm not necessarily correct. I mean, I guess we are correct, but you know, he's a loving God. He wants us to be wise. He wants us to learn and have power, and to have, not power, I mean, he wants us to have authority and self-control, and because it strengthens us from within, it strengthens our soul. So maybe that's why. I don't know. I don't have the answers. But I just wanted to share my thoughts, and really amazing. I really just wanted to share that one paragraph, how it said how when a solar eclipse happens, all the, I don't want to use the word witchcraft, because it's, you know, yeah, it can be witchcraft, but it's not necessarily, apparently this stuff is divinely inspired and biblical if it's meant for the purposes of God. So I don't know what the word is, but it's interesting that when there's a solar eclipse, it makes all that stuff void. So it really brings a revelation into the solar eclipse that happened when Christ was crucified, and how the sun and moon will go dark when the Lord comes in the last days, on the days of visitation. I don't know, it's something to think about. Really amazing. So, all right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Just wanted to share.